So question number 1, do you have a preference of scanning position according to upper and lower scans?
Scanning position? Like, I wonder if they mean like basically where I'm positioned myself.
With
Yeah.
your
So I sit.
chair.
Yeah, I sit. So almost everything I do is positioned between 9 and 12 o'clock because of how my operatory is set up. And that works really great for me actually because the monitor that has the Medit on it, the software on it is at 12 o'clock behind me. So I basically can sit at around 9 o'clock. The patient's head will be like right here. And I can be looking at this and just looking right at my shoulder and seeing. I actually thought having the monitor in front of me would be good, but I like this. It gives me a good position where I'm almost facing the patient at 9 o'clock, just kind of looking at them. And then I go to 12 o'clock sometimes when I'm dealing with, let's see, top left. If I patient turns their head and I sit at 12 o'clock, I can look right down at the area I'm scanning. So 9 to 12 is my preference with the monitor behind me. And I actually tried a couple of times to scan with the monitor in front of me, but I actually found it more natural for me to be kind of looking at the patient's head and the monitor in a more straight trajectory as opposed to monitors on this side and the patient's head's on this side. So it works out really nicely. Of course, it's all preference, but I think 9 to 12, even my assistant does it pretty much the same. She does it on her side. Actually, no, she comes around to my side when she scans. Anytime she can, she comes to my side and does the same thing. And she stands so she can have the same positions.
Okay, thank you. So question number 2, is there any specific case that you take conventional impression instead of digital scanning?
Yes and no. So, okay, so let me tell you the story. I started digital scanning 2015 or so. 2014 or 15. At the time, I was just doing diagnostic scans, never final restorations. I didn't find it to be precise enough. And as I started to get more and more comfortable with it, and I saw that the scanning technology was changing, and basically once I started using the Medit i700, I started doing both a digital scan and an impression to compare the accuracy just so I have a backup. I didn't want to be in trouble. And what I started finding is that the digital scan for single posteriors and for routine inlays, onlays, crowns was actually a little bit more precise. And if you read the literature, it's actually not really showing anything that says it's way more accurate, but just my experience was things fit a little bit better. The margins were cleaner. So I started using it for all that. And then you would think, so now I don't take an impression for those cases. I just do my scan and I don't need a backup because I have the confidence in it. But now you would think I do everything with digital scan. But what actually happens is when I'm doing a full mouth case or a large case, I also, the type of ceramic I like to do is hand layered ceramic feldspathic. And when you try to use digital, you still need to end up having a refractory die. And by the time you duplicate it and do that, there's a lot of these workflows to try to do this. But so far, I haven't been able to get the same precision. So what I do on those cases is I take a regular impression, but I still take a digital scan. My digital scan is my backup. And it's also, it has some of those things I just showed you with like the measuring tool and stuff. Imagine you're doing a full mouth case. I still check those things. I'm still checking for reduction. I'm still checking that I have enough reduction for my veneers. In fact, I take my pre-op, not my pre-op, I take my design or my wax up and I import it in as additional data so that I can use it to verify I have enough reduction space to achieve the design I want. And then I still have the scan as a backup. And sometimes it ends up being my primary for those cases, even though it's harder to work with in the feldspathic world. Sometimes I need to if it's more accurate or if it's more precise. But the one thing I would say that I still think we need a little bit of improvement on scanning is when you're doing veneer preps like I do, and there's very minimal separation to the neighboring tooth. Like I do 0.2 separation. When it's that close, even the scanner has a little bit of a hard time picking it up, but even if it picks it up, the printer has a hard time printing it. And long story short, when you have very minimal separation, it becomes hard to get precision in certain areas like interproximally. And so because of that, that is why in bigger cases and cases that I do veneers with minimal separation, I do both. I don't pick PVS over scanning, but I do make my final restoration from the PVS. And one of the cool things we do is we scan that impression right after we finish it, just so that we have another backup in case even that rips. So digital has become a large part of everything I do, but there's still room for a little bit of both, which is like digital and analog. And I think that's important because you got to do what works best for the situation. I think when we look forward, we're going to see digital continue to excel and get better and better and better. It's, you know, it's not the best it's going to be. It's going to get better. But for now, I still do rely on PVS for certain situations like that.
Okay, I see. Okay, so we are left with the last question.
Okay.
So question number 3, do you prefer a scanner with wire or wireless? Can you tell us the pros and cons that you have felt in your real daily practice?
Yeah, so I have both, but I'm only using the wireless now. At first, I would say the wired was faster and smoother and stuff like that. No longer the case. I don't notice if it is faster or smoother. It's not to the point that I notice it. And I'm not even trying to compare it because I no longer feel like I'm waiting for the scanner to connect or get signal and stuff like that. So I always use the wireless now. I think there's some huge benefits to that for me because I have my computer at 12 o'clock. The wire has to come over my shoulder or the patient. So it's just ergonomically better and more comfortable for me. I never have to fight the cord. I would say the only thing that you need to balance between wireless and wired is battery life, but we have 3 batteries, so I don't need to worry about that. We have the backup connection where you can make it into wired if you want to. So I think if it were me, I would get a wireless as my only scanner. And if I needed to use it in a wired way, you always could do that. The other thing, so battery's not really a big not a big issue to me because I have 3 of them. It usually lasts at least a whole big case, if not multiple cases. And then the smoothness and efficiency and everything is now, and I'm thinking I would say for the past year, it's been good enough or excellent to the point where even my staff is like, no, now it's great. But there was a period of time where I felt like the convenience of the wireless was offset because the wired was faster and smoother. So given everything, I think wireless is the way to go. And you can even have it set up to easily connect between computers in different rooms if you get different hubs and connected, and it gives you that type of mobility. And so I think that's what I would go with. I don't really see any major con to the wireless today in the form that it is now.
So most inconvenience that you feel from wire is the cord.
Pretty much the cord. I mean, what else could you say? I mean, it's fast. The cord itself. So of all the cords I've ever dealt with, the Medit cord is the best. Why? Because it doesn't have that power brick. It's just the USB-C connection. So it doesn't get any better than that. So if you had to pick a corded scanner, I think more scanners have gone that direction. But I remember dreaming like one day scanners are going to be using just a USB-C or USB connection, and Medit did it first as far as I know. So I think in terms of the wire, it's not that annoying, but what else could you say about it? I mean, it's fast. I mean, when you direct connect, you're always going to get the smoothest everything, but when the wireless is as smooth as it is, it's not big difference where I'm like, oh, I need that extra 1 second of time to recover. So I think that basically it just comes down to the wire.
Okay, I see. Okay, thank you for answering all the questions that are prepared today.
Perfect. Thank you.
So that's all about it for today. You'll be able to watch this webinar on our YouTube channel and Medit Academy once it's completed. Thank you for being here, Doctor.
Thank you. Have a great day.
See you in the next webinar. Bye.
Bye-bye. See you later.